Hello and welcome. Today's project is all about health anxiety. What is health anxiety? What makes up the traits of the personality of a health anxiety sufferer? What are the beginning steps to overcoming health anxiety, and what my journey has been like suffering from health anxiety and then not suffering from health anxiety. Now, health anxiety is also known as hypochondria, and it's the obsession over one's health. The catastrophizing over the symptom, over the feeling, the body part, and then that catastrophizing becomes a daily habit where then that person is stuck in this anxious loop day in and day out, and with their anxiety response constantly being active, their health becomes compromised, but also their relationships and their work, their job becomes compromised, and everything gets so beyond them that they're unable to grab onto any known territory because they're so far out in the unknown territory. I used to suffer from health anxiety. I first had a panic attack at the age of 10 where I was watching a movie and the movie was really intense, but I felt the strange sensations within me. My breathing was shallow, my rapid heart beating, and I felt like I couldn't grab onto some known territory in that moment, right? I couldn't get control over my feelings and emotions at that moment, and that startled me. And I was like, oh my God, I can't gain control over how I'm feeling and these sensations. I might die. And then I ran out of the basement at that moment because of those strange sensations and the fear of dying and, well, losing control, right? And so now my anxiety doesn't go beyond a level 3 or a 4 because I have so much control now after going through this recovery journey of my emotions and my thoughts, and I have strategies that I can easily implement in times of stress. I'm more aware of how I'm feeling, my emotions, of my habits, my behaviors, what I'm saying. I'm more aware of those things. So I have a lot more control over my anxiety, where in the past, my anxiety was a level 7, 8, 9, 10 continuously, day in and day out. I had no control. I was very reactive. I was engaging in habits that would make me feel weak and more stressed. And now my anxiety is usually a level 1 or 2, but when I get more stressed, level 3 or 4, and then I could easily bring that back down because I know the tactics. So I am here. That's why my YouTube channel is so important for someone suffering from health anxiety, is that you can watch my content and gain the knowledge, gain the tools, right? That's what you want. You want to gain those tools so that you can improve the circumstances that you're in, right? So what makes up the traits of somebody with health anxiety? Well, they're obsessive, right? They're obsessive. They're constantly paying attention and ruminating and focusing all their energy on a symptom, a sensation, a feeling. They're very reactive, very sensitive to the outside world, but also any unknown novelty, any strange feeling. Another trait is avoidance. They avoid places that make them feel anxious. I used to avoid places, and then I was shrinking my world smaller and smaller to the point where I was inside and I wouldn't leave the house because even that walk would trigger my anxiety, those sensations that I didn't want to face. They were too novel for me and too scary, and I didn't want to go out there and lose control in the environment outside, and lose control in an environment where I would die, and while I die, I'd make a fool out of myself in front of all these people, right? So I would shrink my world, and that's agoraphobia. That's where I ended up. And then another trait of somebody with health anxiety is reassurance seeking, going on Dr. Google all the time, talking about their symptoms to family members all the time, friends even, other people, talking about how they feel, how horrible they feel all the time, gaining that reassurance, and then that builds up this dependent personality that they have, because now, that reassurance, it makes them feel valued by other people. Like there's a relationship going on because of that communication and that connection, right? When you constantly say how horrible things are in your life to other people, then there's a sense of connection there as well. So the anxiety response is generated from the amygdala, this tiny almond-shaped structure in this deep part of your brain. This is deep, man. It's so deep because when we were living, or back then, when we were living on the veldt in this time where it was just us against these predatory animals and then Mother Nature, it was horrible, and we needed a response to react to danger quickly, very, very quickly. If you respond to this stick that looks like a snake, you want to respond instinctively without rationalizing, without being aware that it is a stick. You want to respond like it's a snake, because if it is a snake, right, you want to jump back quick enough so that it doesn't bite you. So this is an old response that has been evolving with us. And now we're living in a time where it's safer than ever before in human history, right? But we're in our homes, we're watching TV, we're in our car, and we're feeling anxious. We're feeling overwhelmed. Everything's gotten beyond you. What is going on? There's no predatory cat lurking there anymore. You're in your car and you're completely stressed out. You're completely anxious, right? So the anxiety responds, it activates whenever you're in unfamiliar territory, whenever you're in the unknown. And it responds, it activates in the unknown because you're in a place where you don't know. You don't know where you are, right? So you're in the woods and you get lost and you realize you've gotten lost, and your anxiety response kicks in, and now it's responding because you're in an unfamiliar territory. Or you wake up in the morning and your alarm didn't go off and you have a job interview. It's this frame that you're in blows apart and you don't know where you are, right? And when that frame blows apart, your anxiety response kicks in, and that's where you tend to lose control and also snowball into severe panic, right? And so the first steps into, I want to touch upon one thing with the unknown territory, disorder, right? When somebody is suffering from severe anxiety, they're in disorder, right? Anxiety disorder, order that is disrupted, right? And so you see that in Lord of the Rings, when Frodo is in Mordor, he's in total chaos. The more he gets closer to chaos, the more weaker he becomes. He's depleted. He can't control his emotions, his thoughts, his anger. And by the time he gets to Mordor, he's just not himself anymore. And that's like a great metaphor for anxiety, because when the anxiety response activates, it takes over all other brain processes because it needs to keep you safe and it wants to respond to outside circumstances appropriately to keep you safe. So when your anxiety response activates, it takes over and you don't feel like yourself. That's derealization, depersonalization, feeling like you're automated, not in control. And we see that in Lord of the Rings. Frodo he's the more closer he is in chaos, the more he's consumed by chaos, the more he has no control over himself in every way, right? And so the first steps to overcoming anxiety is to first admit that there is a problem, right? Admit to yourself that, yeah, this is a problem, because it's either the world or it's you, right? You're not going to change the world, because how are you going to change the world? It's better that you change you, right? That's the right choice to make. So change yourself, right? So admitting to yourself, okay, yeah, I have a problem. This is not good. Where I'm at in my life, it's not good. I need to change. And then becoming knowledgeable, becoming aware of what is going on internally. And you see that a great metaphor for that would be Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit, right? He's living in the Shire. He's living on Pleasure Island. It's comfortable, right? But outside the Shire, it's the unknown. It's chaos, and chaos is coming. It always comes. Chaos will pop up in the unknown. Even if you're in the Garden of Eden, chaos will come. So he's there, and he's called out onto this adventure. But he doesn't want to go on this adventure. He likes the Shire. He likes Pleasure Island. But he is forced onto this adventure. And so if you're suffering from health anxiety, think of it as like, this is a new adventure that you're forced into, that you have to go on. You have to gain the knowledge of what this anxiety is, because this is your cross to bear. This is your burden. You have to know all about this burden in order to overcome it. This is an adventure that is forced on you, and that you have to take on voluntarily now, right? Now you have to learn about it. Okay, what is anxiety? What do I have to do about it? What's happening in my life that has gotten me to this point, this chaos that I'm in? And, I love metaphors. I love stories. And we see in the Harry Potter story that Harry has to contend with this dark side of himself that was not chosen to him. It was forced onto him. Voldemort, by trying to kill him, now has a piece of himself in Harry Potter. Now Harry has to contend with this dark side of himself, this shadow part of himself. And at one point in the story, he has to learn to block out Voldemort's mind in him, right? Like, Voldemort's trying to penetrate Harry's mind, and Harry has to learn how to block that away. You can look at it like you trying to learn how to block out negative thoughts, catastrophic thoughts, right? It's this building of Harry's mind. It's this hardening of his mind, this training that he has to do in order to be the hero that he knows he's meant to be, right? And we are the heroes of our own story. So we have to voluntarily take on this burden of this anxiety, right? In order to be the hero of our own story, in order to get to a better place in your life. If you want to manifest the good in your life, if you want to manifest the good things in your life, and you're constantly manifesting negative things all the time, well, you have to look at yourself and say, well, what do I have to change within myself in order to manifest the positives? Let's look at somebody who's manifesting the good and see what kind of personality they have, and so I can take on those qualities, right? You might be the person that is constantly complaining about, oh, why do bad things always happen to me? But you're the same guy. You're the same woman, right? You're the same person that you were. You're not changing your personality. The world, everything's not going to change unless you take action and you change. Now, when I reached rock bottom, life was telling me that the old Brad had to die, that I was like Bilbo. I was forced. There's no way I can stay here. There's no way I can stay. I have to go and learn about this anxiety and go on this different path. I always thought my path would be, going in film and, hanging out with my friends and trying to be this person this way. But that didn't work out for me. And so I reached rock bottom because that personality consisted of habits, behaviors, all these different aspects that weren't healthy. So I reached rock bottom, and in that rock bottom, life was like, well, look, Brad, you have nowhere to go but up, right? So you have to learn about what's going on internally. What do I need to do to change? And I had to be more aware of, okay, well, everything that's happening now, it's not working for me. And I have to go in this direction. I have to learn, why isn't it working for me? And then when I started to research it, oh, it's health anxiety. Okay, I understand, but what really is health anxiety? What is anxiety? I have to learn about it. What makes up the traits of a health anxiety sufferer? Oh, it's these habits. Now I got to change these habits. And you have to kill off the parts of yourself that aren't working for you. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's video. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you're interested in my recovery program, please click the link above or in the description below. It's a program consisting of CBT and NLP techniques. Everything that worked for me in my journey to recovery, I put into the program. So I hope that you guys find it useful. If you have any questions, please contact me at unpluganxiety.com, and there you can also find the program and my one-on-one coaching. And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next video or podcast. Bye for now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so that whenever a new video of mine appears, you will be one of the first to know. Namaste.